Hi everyone, Dr. Orna Isaacson here. Today I am going to show you how I make an herbal tincture. Now this is something that I've talked about before, and I think I've shown you the tincture partway through the process, but today I'm going to show you the whole process. So the plant that I'm going to work with today is this guy. This is elecampane, Inula helenium, and I will talk more about its uses in a different video. But this is spring, or it's late spring. It's January almost here. It's the very end of May. And it's cool and rainy and beautiful, which you guys know I love. And I am going to dig up this root. This is a great plant for lung and lung infections. So I have a few of these growing around my house. And this one is in great shape to make a tincture of in the spring. And then I'm going to try again with some plants from elsewhere in the yard in the fall. Different medicine, and then we can compare them. So I'm going to dig this up, wash it, and then chop it up and put it in a jar, cover it in alcohol, and let it sit for 6-ish weeks. Labeling the jar, always labeling the jar. So that's what I'm going to do, and now you're going to see me struggle to dig it up. This has been in my yard for, I'm not sure if this is a volunteer or the ones that I originally planted, but it's been in my yard for a while, so we'll see if it's super woody or if it's still excellent for medicine. So I don't know if you saw what I did there. I did two things other than struggle to dig these up. I had a lot of rocks that were lining the path that have been buried under path for a long time, so I had to dig those out. And when I first loosened the soil with my garden fork, I tried pulling, and I pulled from the leaves, and the leaves broke off. What that means is that I am not sure that this root was attached to these leaves. So if you are not really experienced in this, and even if you are, you might want to not use the root that you're not 100% sure came from the leaves. There are a bunch of different plants growing in here, and if any of them were poison, well, I wouldn't be growing my medicine right by poison, at least not intentionally. But you would want to be 100% sure that you didn't have the wrong thing. So I'm going to take a look at this root when it's washed and see what I think about it. I might even tincture it separately just to be sure. And then the other thing that I did was when I pulled this plant out, there was this set of leaves and this set of leaves. And this set of leaves was not attached to root. Not a big root that I'm going to use to make medicine. It did have little roots, which I tried to show you. So I stuck that back in the ground, and we'll see how it does. It's supposed to keep raining a little bit, so that'll water it in. And if it roots and starts to make more of this part of the medicine for me, great. If it doesn't, so this I am now going to wash and take inside and start chopping up to make some medicine. So I just spent about half an hour cleaning the roots. I didn't show you that because I figure it's boring. It's, to me, the least fun part of making medicine with roots, unless you are doing it by a river and cleaning your roots in a river. Then it can be pretty fun. So so this is what I've got now. You can see it's much cleaner. This is not perfect. This is medicine that I am going to use for myself. I'm not worried about having a little dirt. It'll get strained out at the end when I press the tincture anyway. But this is medicine that I use for myself. This is not what I give to my patients. For my patients, I get it done by people who are absolutely fabulous professionals and do absolute art with making their medicines. So the way I'm going to show you to make a tincture today is what's called the folk method. So it's basically just putting it together. When professional medicine makers do this, They look very, very carefully at precise alcohol percentages and exactly how much alcohol there is versus how much of the plant matter there is. They go through all of these processes that for normal mortals is a little bit much. If you have a medicine that you need to have absolute precise doses, that's a great way to do it, being as consistent as you can. For myself, I'm not so fussed if I need to take 3 droppers or 3.5 droppers or 4 droppers. And with a medicine like this one, I'm probably going to be doing a lot at a time anyway. So being super precise within a couple of drops in terms of constituents isn't something that I'm super concerned about. Again, this is for myself. So the next part is chopping the root. I just sharpened my knife so that hopefully it won't be too hard, and we'll see how woody these are. And then putting it into the jar, covering with alcohol, shaking it up and labeling it. So now I'm going to let you have the great joy of watching me chop some elecampane. Here we go. So what's happening here is that the root grew in kind of a horseshoe shape, and there's some schmutz in the middle. So I'm opening it up, cleaning out the schmutz, throwing it in the sink so that I will have cleaner roots. And when you are cleaning roots for medicine, I did 2 steps actually. I had the roots submerged in a bowl of water and back for the first scrub, and then I did another scrub in the sink with some running water. And then when you're processing your plant, when you're cutting it, you may find schmutz, in which case you deal with it then. Back to chopping now. So now I am done chopping my roots. That took quite a while, and my wrists are a little sore. So the next step is to put the roots in a jar, cover it with alcohol. It's pretty straightforward, right? There is a whole art and science to choosing levels of alcohol when you're making tinctures. The simplest way to think about it is that you can use vodka, which is about 40% alcohol, and that's sort of like it's preserving the juice of the plant. It's extracting it, but it's also preserving it because of the alcohol content. Or you can use super high-end, mostly alcohol, like a 190 proof, and that's just going to try to extract everything out that is soluble in alcohol. And there are reasons that you would do one or the other. For this herb, on this day, I'm basically splitting the difference. So I have some organic grape alcohol that was 190 proof, so high test. And then I have some beautiful vodka made by my friends at Deep Woods Distillery in Oak Ridge, Oregon. It is always a good idea if you are an herbalist to become friends with people who are distillers, just saying. If you're ever in Oak Ridge and it's safe to be out and about, check them out. So I mixed equal parts of the high test and the vodka, and that's what I'm going to use for the herb. So this part of the process, when you're doing the folk method, you're not measuring, you're just putting it in the jar. So this is the super high-tech part. You take your nicely chopped herb and put it in the jar. Okay. And so with the folk method, with the folk method, basically what you want is to mostly fill your jar. So this is actually perfect, which surprised me. I thought I wouldn't end up having this much. One thing, going back a step, is that you want to chop your herb as finely as you can, because that leaves more surface area for the alcohol to interact with. So it is easier for the alcohol or the vinegar or the honey or whatever you're using as the medium to extract and preserve your medicine. The more surface area it has on the herb, the easier it's going to be to pull those constituents out. So put your herb in the jar. And then this is just like making tea, only you're using cold alcohol instead of hot water. Pour it up over the herb. And you want enough that it's all covered. So my herb goes up to about here, and my alcohol, if I can avoid spilling it, goes up to here. Cover it with a lid. And so on this lid, it's a reused lid. It says what I made as a tincture the last time I used it. So I'm going to cross that out so there's no confusion. And then I'm going to take my labels and my Sharpie, and I'm going to write on these what is in here and today's date. So I'm going to write on here house, because it's from my house, Inula, and today is March 31st, 2022, in 70% alcohol. So house, Inula, today's date, in 70% alcohol. And then I'm going to put that on the top. Doesn't have to be pretty. Put it on the top. Shake it up, baby. So this is actually the motion we used to use developing film back when I was in college, and we used film that was film. So I will keep doing this. I will keep shaking it up. I will let this sit with, shaking several times a day. I'm going to let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks. Then I will strain it and bottle it and label it. And I'll probably put a label on the side here as well, but you don't need to watch me do that. So then I will have this as medicine. So I will be back with another video talking about the specifics of this particular plant and how you use it as medicine. This again is Inula, helenium, or elecampane, a great lung herb. So I will be back talking about that. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, share, follow, all of those things, any of those things if you are inspired. If you end up making your own medicine with this herb or any other, I would love to hear how it goes for you. And I hope that you stay very well. Thanks.